Well, with deal-making talks taking center stage at that JPMorgan Healthcare Conference this week, we're diving into signals from the industry that are sitting top of mind for investors. Tema ETFs founder and CEO Maurits Pot joins us now to discuss. Maurits, so as we look at all of these deal announcements in particular, I saw some chatter coming out of the conference trying to decipher, okay, is this the beginning of a big wave? Or was this just sort of isolated to a few deal announcements at the conference?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Well, it's still a bit too early to tell, but the JPMorgan Healthcare Conference is the marquee healthcare conference every year. And therefore, it's not surprising that on day one, we've already seen 3 or 4 blockbuster M&A transactions come out. I would be expecting more to come out tomorrow and Wednesday. 2024 was, again, a pretty muted year for healthcare M&A, overall a muted year for the healthcare sector. And a number of big companies did not do many big acquisitions. So we think there will be a material pickup this year. The JPMorgan Healthcare Conference is usually the start of deal-making activity in the biotech calendar. And therefore, we're not surprised to see some of the deals we've seen come out today from Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, GSK.
And when you say, Maurits, you expect to see a pickup, where would you expect to see that pickup? Where would you expect to see that activity? Which verticals, which sectors?
Yeah, so clearly the oncology sector is still an area where there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of activity. The neuroscience sector is an area where we see a lot of activity. J&J are active there today. And then we expect there will also be some M&A happening in the metabolic space, the obesity, cardiometabolic, cardiovascular space. And there could also be more esoteric the M&A deals we see, for example, in rare diseases, or maybe even in the gene therapy space. But we think the biggest markets will remain the oncology market, the neurological market, and ultimately the cardiovascular and metabolic market.
Of course, one difference perhaps this year from the last couple of years is that the GLP-1 cycle is at a very different place than it was. And while there were some sideline comments, perhaps in an interview about Eli Lilly talking about when an oral medication might be available, it doesn't seem like there's as much activity on that front. Is that fair to say, or what should investors be paying attention to there?
Well, in that market today, there's still only 2 approved drugs in the US. And we expect that there may only be 1 more approved at some point this year, if at all. So this is still, for now, a 2-horse race. But there is a number of innovative companies focusing on innovations around moving from injectables to oral, moving from obesity-focused drugs to looking beyond obesity, using GLP-1 agents, and also other adjacencies, for example, reducing the frequency of dosage. So overall, we think there will be more activity. We were somewhat surprised that Merck actually bought a company it did in China in December. Merck was considered to be one of the leading potential acquirers in the US for a GLP company. And we expect there will be more activity, but frankly, I think there's also realization that valuations for some of the potential acquisition targets are quite stretched. And that's also seeing the valuations for some of these companies really be re-rated over the last 6 to 8 weeks. So yes, there will be more activity. We believe that will happen at more reasonable valuations. And short term, there's really no change to the market structure, which right now means a duopoly between Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk.
I'm curious, Maurits, as someone who's so steeped in the sector, how much discussion is there that you hear of Trump's pick to lead HHS RFK Jr. and whether, if he was confirmed, what that could mean for the healthcare sector going forward?
So I think RFK's appointment has so far led to quite a lot of questions and uncertainty in the sector, and the dust hasn't settled yet. What we are actually more focused on is the FDA commissioner. And the choice of FDA commissioner, we think, is encouraging, and we think will hopefully lead to sensible, predictable policymaking in the healthcare space. But admittedly, until the inaugurations happen, but also until policymaking is clearer under the Trump administration, we don't think the dust will settle yet. And while it's encouraging to see the revival of M&A this week, we also note that the overall sector is at a cyclically or historically discounted valuation. I think 2024, the healthcare share of the S&P ended at a 20-year low, which underscores how troubled or how challenged the sector has been in the past 12 to 18 months. But despite those short-term headwinds, we are very optimistic about the long-term tailwinds. And we still see this is in a sector with immense innovation, a growing need, and also a growing range of diseases that need to find solutions to improve patient lives.
Maurits, good to see you and to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much.